What if the fastest way to quiet your mind is to stop trying to quiet it? Imagine not forcing calm, not wrestling with thoughts, but discovering a simple shift that lets everything settle by itself. There is an old story about the Buddha that points directly to this, and once you see it, your daily inner noise will never look the same. They say that one summer afternoon, late in his life, the Buddha was walking through a forest. The air wavered with heat. Cicadas stitched the silence, and dust hung in golden sheets where the sunlight broke through the trees. He was thirsty and tired. He turned to his attendant, Ananda, and said in that steady, unhurried way that there was a small stream 5 or 6 kilometers behind them. "Take my alms bowl," he instructed. "Go back and bring me some water." Ananda obeyed. He retraced their steps along the narrow path where leaves cracked underfoot, past a bend where ox carts had crossed earlier. When he reached the stream, his heart sank. The cartwheels had churned the bed of dry leaves and silt into a cloudy swirl. The water was brown, flecked with fragments of leaves and twigs, opaque and restless, the sediment spinning in little eddies, refusing to settle. This, Ananda thought, is no water for a teacher. He turned back, empty-handed, a knot of worry tightening in his chest. He found the Buddha and said, with the politeness of a disciple masking a trace of frustration, that the water was muddy and unfit to drink. There was, he added, a great river 2 or 3 kilometers ahead. Let me fetch water from there instead. It would be cleaner, faster, sensible. But the Buddha shook his head. "Go back to the first stream," he said gently. "If the water is dirty, don't enter it. Don't stir it with your hands. Sit quietly on the bank. Do nothing. Simply watch. The water will clear on its own. When it does, fill the bowl and bring it to me." Ananda didn't understand. Why walk 5 or 6 kilometers back to muddy water when a powerful river lay just ahead? It felt absurd, even unkind. The afternoon was only getting hotter, but obedience to the teacher had been carved into his bones through years of practice. So he turned and went. He returned to the little stream. The rumble of ox carts had faded into the distance. Dragonflies fretted over the surface. The water was already calmer. The heavy silt had begun to settle. Leaves that had spun like tired birds were now drifting lazily to the edge. Ananda stood, then remembered the instruction. Don't touch, don't wade, don't fix. Sit and watch. So he sat on the bank, the alms bowl cupped in his lap, and he waited. Minutes stretched like warm taffy. Sunlight flickered in ribbons across the water. He noticed a patch of clear surface forming near a rock, then another. He heard the delicate lapping at the shore. He felt the breeze shift, smelled the damp, earthy sweetness rising from the mud. Little by little, the stream, undisturbed, clarified itself. The sediment sank, the swirl loosened and vanished. What had been a murky brown became glass. If he leaned over, he could see pebbles like coins on the bottom, each one outlined in light. Ananda smiled, astonished by a lesson that arrived without a single extra word. He filled the bowl. On his way back through the forest, he felt lighter. There was a kind of dancing in his step. Relief, understanding, gratitude, all braided together. When he reached the Buddha, he touched his feet and offered the water. The Buddha thanked him, and Ananda blurted, almost laughing, that he finally understood. At first, he confessed, he had been angry. He hadn't shown it, but the absurdity of the instruction had scratched at him. But sitting by the stream, watching it change by doing nothing, he saw his own mind. When he plunged into it, when he argued with thoughts, wrestled with fears, dug at old memories, he only churned the mud. The more he tried to fix it, the cloudier it became. Yet when he simply sat on the bank of the mind and watched, without jumping in, without splashing, without trying to force it, the leaves of grievance, the silt of old wounds, the fragments of desire, they all slowly drifted down. Clarity appeared by itself. The The water didn't need him to make it clear. It needed him to stop disturbing it. And this, the Buddha affirmed, is true meditation, not a battle with the mind, but a change of position. The art of transferring your seat from the middle of the stream to the quiet riverbank of awareness. Most of us have been taught the opposite. We think the way to calm is to fix and manage, to compile techniques, to suppress certain thoughts and summon others on command. We tighten our grip on attention as if we're training a wild animal. But attention doesn't obey that kind of force for long. It flinches, it fights back. The stream grows dirtier. The instruction to sit on the bank sounds like a paradox, but it's deeply practical. It is not passivity. It's wise non-interference. The water of the mind is already full of life. It holds memories, plans, sensations, instincts, 1,000 currents. When you plunge in, hands thrashing, you stir the bottom. When you do nothing, you let the currents reveal themselves and settle into their natural course. Like a snow globe that someone has shaken and then set down on a table, the flakes don't need your fingers to arrange them. They need stillness to fall. So how do you do this right now in the middle of a loud modern life? You sit or stand where you are and imagine that you are stepping back, a single step from the stream of thinking. Feel the body. Let the breath come and go at its own pace. Let sounds be the stream's birds and wind. Let thoughts be leaves on the surface, some bright, some torn. You don't reach for them, you don't push them away. If a thought hooks you, notice the tug in the gut, the shoulder, the jaw. That noticing is the bank. Every time you notice, you're already back on solid ground. People often ask, should I focus on the breath, a mantra, a candle flame? Any gentle anchor will do, but remember the principle. You're not forcing the mind to be blank. You're letting it clear itself by refusing to agitate it. The anchor is not a tool for tightening. It's a place to rest your attention while the mud falls to the bottom. Soft eyes, soft jaw, a patient heart. At some point in your practice, the impulse to jump in will flare. An anxious thought will insist it's urgent. A memory will whisper that if you don't fix it now, it will haunt you. This is the moment of the lesson. The carts have just rolled through. The water is churned. Your job is not to fix the water. Your job is to sit quietly on the bank. Breathe, feel the contact points, feet on floor, seat on chair, hands resting. Let the body be the shoreline. Let the stream rip. Give it time. It will clear. Pause with me here for a moment. When is your mind most stirred up? Morning, night, after scrolling before sleep? And what image helps you step back to the riverbank, the snow globe, the clear pool, the leaves drifting by? Share it in the comments so others can try it too. And if this story is opening something for you, tap like and subscribe for more teachings you can actually use in daily life. It helps the channel reach the people who need it. And it tells me to bring you more of these. There's another fear tucked inside this approach. If I don't jump in and manage my thoughts, won't they run wild? Won't I end up passive, detached, numb? The truth is the opposite. When you sit on the bank, you are not abandoning your mind. You're caring for it in the only way that works long-term. Detachment is cold, awareness is warm. It includes everything. It says, yes, there is anger here, tightness here, longing here. You don't wrestle anger to the ground. You feel how it thuds in the chest, how it heats the face. You notice its story rising and falling. Without your hands churning the bottom, anger has a natural lifespan. It crests and dissolves like a wave that's finally allowed to break. Think of times you tried to fall asleep and commanded yourself not to think. The command became another thought, another cart through the water. The harder you tried, the more wakeful you felt. But on nights when you gave yourself permission to rest without results, the mind softened. The stream cleared enough for sleep to come find you. Consider an argument. Afterward, you replay it 100 times, perfecting lines you didn't say, anticipating what you'll say next time. That rehearsal stirs the bottom, but imagine you sit, breathe, and watch the replay without adding commentary. You see the hurt flicker in the belly. You see the humiliation crackling in the throat. You don't turn away. You also don't attack. The stream, seen clearly, begins to calm. The conversation you have tomorrow will emerge from this clarity, not from froth. Even joy has its own sediment. When you grasp at it, trying to make it last, the grasping muddies the water. When you let joy pass through, you taste it more fully because you're not stirring fear into it. The bank is generous. It lets everything visit and leave. There are simple ways to weave this into your day. Treat each doorframe like a riverbank. Every time you walk through a door, pause, breathe once, and notice the state of your stream. Or set a tiny chime to sound every hour, and use that moment to step back, feel the body, and let whatever is churning settle. Before a difficult conversation, give yourself 30 seconds to sit on the bank. After a meeting, before you sprint to the next thing, lean back in your chair and do it again. Not as a ritual of control, but as an act of trust. Clarity returns when we stop muddying it. Does this mean we never act? No. Rivers are for drinking, for crossing, for bathing. The Buddha didn't ask Ananda to worship the water. He asked him to wait for it to clear so it could be used wisely. The same is true for thought. We think to plan, to create, to love, to understand. But when thought is churned by agitation, it loses its edge. Action born from a clear mind is cleaner. Words land where they should. Decisions align with values. Some days the stream clears in minutes. Other days, a storm upstream keeps the water milky for a while. That's fine. The bank is patient. If you sit in kindness, even muddy water can be beautiful. Light skimming its surface, the sound of it moving, the reminder that life does not need to be pristine to be worthy of your presence. And if the turbulence is too strong, if trauma surfaces, if panic feels overwhelming, sitting alone may not be enough. Then the bank widens into community, a trusted friend, a teacher, a therapist, a group that can help you hold what is heavy. The essence remains. Agitation doesn't clear through force. It clears through safety and steadiness. Eventually you'll notice something subtler. Sitting on the bank isn't separate from the stream. The awareness that watches is made of the same life as the thoughts that pass. You are not exiled from your mind. You are its home. The bank and the water are one movement. In that recognition, humility arrives. You don't congratulate yourself for making the water clear. You marvel that clarity is what water knows how to do. So the next time your mind feels like that churned up stream, leaves of resentment circling, silt of worry making everything brown, remember the afternoon in the forest. Remember the heat, the dust, the dragonflies, the instruction that sounded useless until it worked. Sit, don't touch, don't fight, watch. Let the breath brush in and out like the smallest wave. Feel the body as the bank. And when you notice the impulse to fix, smile gently at it, as you might smile at a child who is finally ready to rest. True meditation is not squeezing your mind into silence. It is the art of transfer, shifting your seat of attention from the restless current to the riverbank of awareness. From there, the mind will show you its own clarity. From there, you can draw a bowl of water that is fit to drink and carry it forward into whatever the day asks of you.